Hi guys, welcome back again with another discussion about the Viceroys of India. Now, in the previous video, I did discuss with you about Viceroys, particularly the first Viceroy of India, Lord Canning. Canning was the Governor General and Viceroy of the British India from 1858 to 1862. Now, this is Ranganathan S.U.N. Kontala giving you a very quick overview about the Governor Generals of India and the Viceroys of India. Now, as I said before, British India was established in 1858 after the British Crown took over the administration of India from the East India Company. Now, when Canning left the country in 1862, Lord Elgin came to power. Elgin was a senior bureaucrat as well. He had previously worked as a governor of Jamaica from 1842 to 1846. He was also the Governor General of the province of Canada from 1847 to 1854. Now, he's coming with extensive administrative experience running the province of Canada, running the province of Jamaica, and now he was coming to India as Viceroy in 1862. Now, when Elgin came, Elgin also came with a lot of good qualifications. He belonged to Eton College. He was also from Christ Church, Oxford. He was a contemporary and friend of some of his predecessors like Dalhousie and Canning. So, Elgin very well understood the contemporary situation of India when he came to India. He was appointed previously the High Commissioner and Plenipotentiary in China and Far East in 1857. So he also had experience working as administrator of China and High Commissioner of Britain to China. And he was actually one of the first guys to help in opening up of China and Japanese trade to Western business and to Europe. In the year 1860, during China's Second Opium War, it was Elgin who ordered the destruction of old summer palace of Beijing. And Beijing's summer palace was an architectural marvel of China, and it was he who actually made the Chinese to sign the Peking Convention. It was under the Peking Convention with the King Emperor that Britain got control of the Kowloon Peninsula. Now, Kowloon Peninsula is what eventually became Hong Kong on a 99-year lease. So, diplomat, a bureaucrat, and a governor. Now, when Elgin came to India, there are always reports which said that Elgin shied away from pomp and circumstance of a past governor generals. So he was not a show off. He did not want to project himself as a great governor general as such. Elgin's one of the main challenges was a violent and fanatic movement in India by the Mohammedans in the northwest, known as the Wahhabi movement. Wahhabis were actually defeated during Elgin's rule. Elgin, as soon as he came, he saw the Wahhabi movement. The Wahhabi movement, in fact, was the first Muslim movement to emerge primarily as a response to the Western influences which are happening in Indian society. Wahhabi movement was a revivalist movement. It tried to purify Islam of all the un-Islamic practices. So it was a revivalist movement. It was wanted to take Islam back to its original doctrines, and it had seriously fought against un-Islamic practices which had come into the Muslim society. The Wahhabi movement was led by Abdul Wahhab of Arabia, as well as Delhi's saint Shah Waliullah Dehlavi. In Delhi, there was the saint Shah Waliullah. In India, Wahhabi teachings were eventually popularized by Sayyid Ahmad Barelvi, also known as Sayyid Ahmad of Rai Bareli, and Shah Abdul Aziz. The Wahhabis, particularly under the leadership of Barelvi, condemned all innovations in Islam. They wanted to go back to the original doctrines of Islam and the old Islamic society of Arabia. Primarily, wanted the Muslims to go back to the Prophet's times. In fact, Wahhabi movement even believed that India had become Dar ul Harb, the land of non-believers, and their aim was to create Dar ul Islam, the land of believers, the land of followers of Islam. Abdul Aziz set out a fatwa declaring that India was Dar ul Harb and the need was to create it as Dar ul Islam. And to do this, it was Wahhabis who declared jihad. Initially, they declared jihad, the holy war against the Sikhs of Punjab. Eventually, Punjab was actually under the leadership of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And after the British annexation of Punjab, after the Anglo-Sikh War in 1849. During the revolt of 1857, Wahhabis also played a very, very important role in spreading the anti-British sentiments among people. After the revolt was suppressed, in the year 1870, the term sedition was actually added into the Indian Penal Code primarily to outlaw any attempt to excite disaffection towards the government established by law in India. So essentially, the logic of the sedition article, which we have in the Indian Penal Code, was actually implemented into the Indian Penal Code primarily to target the Wahhabis. So Wahhabis ran jihad against the British government, against the Christians. The Ambala campaign was another major campaign which Elgin did in Northwest Frontier, primarily to suppress the tribal insurgency. And Sir William Denison, the governor of Madras, succeeded him as interim governor general under the Act of 1861 because Elgin had to leave quite quickly. Sir John Lawrence, who had earlier performed all Punjab control previously for the during the Anglo-Sikh War, was even offered the viceroyalty, which during Elgin's period, the inauguration of High Court of Judicature of Bengal, conferment of MA degree from Calcutta University, both the events happened. Supreme Court and the Southern courts were eventually merged to form what we call the High Court. The law to make High Courts was passed during Canning's period, but the law itself was implemented during Elgin's period. Elgin's career in India was actually cut short when he died unexpectedly during one of his trips to the mountain places. He spent summer of 1863 in Shimla, eventually died of a heart disease in Upper India at Dharamshala, where eventually Lord Elgin was buried. Elgin was then eventually succeeded by Lord Lawrence, 1864 to 1869. So 1857 to 58, 1857 to 1862 is Canning, 1862 to 1864 is Elgin. Now 1864 to 1869 was Lawrence. Lawrence was born in Richmond. He was from the Yorkshire's North Riding. Lawrence grew up in Derry, a city of province of Western Northern Ireland. So he was an Irish. His father had previously served in British Indian Army, so British India was not something new to them. Also, Sir George Lawrence, Sir Henry Lawrence, his elder brothers, have participated extensively in the Anglo-Sikh War. So his family had very close connections with India. Lord Lawrence wanted to join the military like his brothers, and his father even enrolled him in the East India Company College's Haileybury, believing that a career as a civil servant offered always better prospects. He spent 2 years in Haileybury, where he admitted that he was never idle nor industrious. So he still won prizes in history, political economy, and Bengali. But if you see the background to his brothers, like George Lawrence and Henry Lawrence, uh, John Lawrence was not really as popular as the Lawrence brothers of the past. The policies of Lord Elgin, Lord Lawrence, and eventually after him Lord Mayo, who ruled from 1869 to say 72, Lord Northbrook, 1872 to 76, is known as policies of masterly inactivity, where the British essentially focused only on retaining the administration, had no interest of getting involved into Indian affairs and Indian princely states and expansions and everything. So pretty much from 1857 to 1876, India remained on the path of administrative readjustment to fit the British crown. The main goal of British policy during Elgin's period was to let things go quietly, let things go silently. In fact, he ran exactly counter to Lord Lytton, who came after Northbrook. Lord Lytton used to follow a policy called the forward policy, where he wanted to involve with the Indians and suppress Indians and control them. But these first four viceroys, Elgin, first four viceroys, Canning, Elgin, Lawrence, Mayo, and even Northbrook, they maintained the idea of masterly inactivity. Lord Elgin fought a war with Bhutan. During his period, Indo-European telegraph system was also started from Karachi, Persia, and Turkey, connecting these three. And he followed, as I said, a very strong policy of masterly inactivity. Establishment of High Courts of Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay, fully operational, began in 1865. Similar to Bengal Tenancy Act, Punjab Tenancy Act was passed during Elgin's period in 1868. And in 1868, an annual grant of 6 lakhs rupees to Sher Ali of Afghanistan and a railway system was opened between Ambala to Delhi. So these were primarily administrative changes only, no expansions, no so in 1868 annual grant of 6 lakhs of rupees was given to Sher Ali of Afghanistan, and a railway opened from Ambala to Delhi. So largely Lord Elgin's period primarily saw idea of masterly inactivity, and British maintained a very low profile. They did not get involved with Indians too much. So this is about the second and third viceroys of India, Lord Elgin and Lord John Lawrence. Now remember, John Lawrence and Elgin both followed the policy of masterly inactivity. They remained neutral in Indian affairs. Do follow, subscribe, and click on the bell icon below. And I've also shared the link of the Lord Canning's session on in the description page. So do follow me on YouTube. We will be continuing the viceroys in the next video. Thank you guys. Bye bye.